When it comes to pack bait, the thing that I probably get the most questions about as far as how I make my pack bait for carp fishing is this: sweet feed. What is it? Where do you get it? Why do you use it? What's it made of? All sorts of questions, and I'm going to answer a bunch of those questions here in this video today. So sweet feed is horse feed. It's pelletized feed, and it's most commonly used for feeding horses, but can also be used for sheep or goats or basically any livestock that'll eat it. I mean, frankly, you could probably put it in a bowl with some milk and eat it like cereal, and it probably wouldn't kill you. Probably wouldn't recommend that though. But as it says on the package here, designed for horses, sheep, goats, and cattle. So wide variety of livestock can eat these pellets. As far as what it's made of protein, fats, fiber, and minerals and vitamins. And it does contain a little bit of molasses, which is why it's referred to as sweet feed. This kind of feed is kind of intended to be like a treat for horses, not something that they're going to eat all day, every day. They don't eat sugar as often as we do, so a little bit of sugar goes a long way with them, gets them kind of riled up. This is intended to be just an occasional treat for the livestock. This particular brand doesn't say it anywhere on the bag, but oftentimes the bag will say like 12% sweet feed or 15% or 20% or whatever on the bag. And the percentage on the bag is referring to the protein content of the feed. It's from what I've seen, it's usually around 12 to 15%, and that's crude protein. From what I've seen on the labels, it doesn't tell you real specifically where the protein comes from, but it's definitely vegetable protein, probably soy protein would be my guess. And the same with the fat. You know, this is all vegetable matter here, so I don't know what exactly the fat comes from either, but and then the vitamins and minerals, you know, intended to be a good source of nutrition for these animals. And depending on the brand, there may be, mixed in with the pellets, there might be a few kernels of dried corn or maybe some oats. You know, it kind of varies from brand to brand and type to type, but generally speaking, it's mostly pellets. Where do you get it? Well, I get mine at the local farm store. And that can be a few different things. If you live in the Midwest or anywhere where livestock or agriculture is a big thing, there's going to be lots of small independent feed stores in all your little towns that have grain elevators. If you live in a rural area and you see those great big concrete cylinders standing 200 feet up in the sky, those are full of grain, and chances are they sell feed there. You're probably not going to find a website for them or anything like that. You're just going to have to walk in there and ask somebody about sweet feed. If you don't live in an agricultural area, some of the what I would call big box farm stores are probably going to carry it too. Those would be stores like Tractor Supply or Fleet Farm. I think the other one is the Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Baumgar's is a chain farm store that's around here in the area where I live. I think just about anywhere where you live in the country, there are going to be some people who have horses or sheep or goats, you know, as probably as pets, and they need to feed them. So there's got to be a place to buy animal feed in most places. And I guess the best thing to do if you're not sure where to go is just go to Google Maps and type in feed store near me or farm store near me, and you'll find some places like that, and you're probably going to have to drive there and go check it out. Usually it comes in 40 or 50 pound bags like this, so it's not a small amount, but it's cheap. It's super cheap. I think this one was like 12 or 14 bucks. You know, 12 to 15 bucks is probably what the price is going to be. So yeah, 50 pounds is a lot, but if you're not going to use it all in the course of a year or whatever, if you keep it right, it'll keep for a long time. But all in all, it's cheap. So if you have to throw some away at the end of the year, it's cheap. If you're not sure what to do with it, you can put it out in a dish out in your backyard, and the birds and the rabbits and squirrels would probably eat it up. I really doubt you're going to find any place that delivers a 40 or 50 pound bag of feed. I did look on the tractorsupply.com website, and it appears that they do deliver on the website, but I've never actually purchased from them. I wouldn't be surprised if somehow during the checkout process it tells you that item cannot be shipped, but Anyway, feel free to check it out if you want. I haven't tested that myself, but there's a link in the description to the Tractor Supply page of their sweet feed. As far as what brand do I buy, I don't have any particular brand. I don't think it matters at all. I just buy whatever's on sale, whatever's cheapest. This is the Baumgar's brand. That's the store where I bought it this time. I've bought them in other places. It's just, I don't care about brands. I don't think it matters. So why do I put it in my pack bait for carp fishing? Well, there's a few reasons. Probably the first reason why I started doing it is because I wanted to add a variety into my pack bait. For a while I was fishing with just oats for a pack bait, and that worked pretty good, but I wanted to add just kind of a variety of macronutrients and texture and color, and just kind of have a mix of a few different things in the mix. Not super complicated, like 20 different things, but a couple different things in my pack bait mix. So variety, and a variety of macronutrients and flavors in the pack bait, just to maybe increase the attractiveness a little bit. And then another reason why I use the sweet feed in the pack bait, as I discovered this after using it for a while, is that it actually helps the oats pack bait break down more and faster after it gets in the water. I've done some underwater video testing of that, just to see what happens exactly when sweet feed makes contact with water, and it expands, and expands pretty quickly too. Within about 10 minutes it's completely expanded and saturated with water. And when it's mixed in with oats in a pack bait, it does the same thing. When it goes into the water, it expands and just kind of flowers out, and it really makes that pack bait break down into a nice little pile. And I like how that works. I think it helps. So how much sweet feed do I use in my pack bait? Well, I use a 4-to-1 ratio of oats to sweet feed, and I've just learned that just through experimentation in my own fishing, and kind of came to the conclusion that a 4-to-1 ratio is good. That'd be 4 oats to 1 sweet feed. And usually when I make a batch of pack bait, I kind of make small batches of pack bait, and usually it'll be 8 cups of oats to 2 cups of sweet feed. And I buy oats in bulk, so I use a scoop and measure out my oats and my sweet feed. But if you're buying those tubes, those 42-ounce tubes from the grocery store, just use about half of one of those tubes. So half one of those tubes. And again, this doesn't need to be precise. I mean, before I started using a scoop, I was just using handfuls. So I'd dump a half a tube of oats in a bag, grab 3 or 4 handfuls of sweet feed, throw it in there. That's it. It doesn't need to be precise. The fish don't care. The mix will end up pretty much the same either way. It doesn't need to be precise. But generally the way I do it, with the 8 cups of oats and the 2 cups of sweet feed in the bag there, then I'll add approximately 20 ounces of some kind of liquid. Most of the time that's going to be a 15-ounce can of something. That'd be like a 15-ounce can of cream corn or whole kernel corn or sweet potatoes, 15-ounce can of something, and then maybe a little bit of water, or I've used juices. You can use juices or liquid flavorings or whatever. But generally speaking, about 20 ounces of liquid to go with that dry mix. And again, that's not precise either. Just if it's a little too wet, add a little more oats. If it's not wet enough, add a couple handfuls of water, mix it up, wait a couple minutes. Just kind of experiment with it. You'll get the knack of it. Once you do it half a dozen times, you'll get it figured out, and you don't need to think about it anymore. Is the sweet feed required for my pack bait recipe? Absolutely not. It's not required. As I said before, I used to fish with just oats, or you can mix oats and breadcrumbs or whatever, but sweet feed was something I added a while after I've been carp fishing for a while, and it's not necessary. You can fish with just oats, or you can add other things besides sweet feed into your oats. Cereal is a good one. All sorts of cereal, Cheerios, Captain Crunch, Trix, Fruit Loops, find the sugariest cereal you can find, and throw a few handfuls of that in your oats, and that's going to have a similar effect as the sweet feed. Since the sweet feed has molasses, does it help the pack bait stick together? No, actually, it's just the opposite. Like I said before, it actually helps it break down. You know, it helps, it expands as it absorbs the water, and kind of flours out and makes that pack bait spread out. I know most people, when you hear the word molasses, you think of a sticky syrup, and this stuff actually, it has molasses powder in it, not the syrup. So it's not sticky at all, but it does have that sweetness to it in a flavor. Can you make pack bait out of sweet feed by itself? You cannot, and I've tried that. I thought it would be a fun experiment, and as I mentioned before, it expands, and it kind of it doesn't stick to itself or anything else really. And I'll show you a video clip here. I've got some sweet feed that has been soaked and it's turned into a ground bait, and it just will not stick together. You can squeeze all the water out of it, squeeze it as hard as you can, it won't stick together. Here's some soaked sweet feed. It's completely been soaking for about 15 minutes. If you squeeze all the water out of it, it just won't stick to itself at all. It just crumbles. So the short answer, no, you can't really use it as a pack bait by itself. How long does it take to break down? Well, I've done a test recently, and you can go back. I'll put a link to that video in the description. About 10 minutes is the short answer. Drop these sweet feed pellets in the water. About 10 minutes, they'll expand and just turn into a ground bait in about 10 minutes. Now, I was in room temperature water. So, you know, if it's colder water, probably take a little bit longer. If it's warmer water, probably go a little bit faster. These sweet feed pellets, if you're familiar with cattle cubes, in that same video that I showed the breakdown of the sweet feed, I also did a breakdown of cattle cubes. And cattle cubes are an extruded pellet. They're just much larger. And these small sweet feed pellets are kind of just a miniature version of cattle cubes. But the smaller the particles, the faster they will break down in the water. That's been my findings in my experimentation. How do you store it? I store it in 5-gallon buckets with lids. You can just store it in the bag that it comes in. However, I used to do that, and depending on how weather tight your garage is or wherever you're storing this thing, if you keep it in this bag, if you open this bag, actually you don't even need to open it. If you keep it in some place where there could possibly be a mouse, they're going to chew a hole in this bag and start eating this feed. And you're also going to get, once a mouse does that, you're going to get insects in there, and next thing you know, you're going to go out to your garage to get some sweet feed, and it's going to be full. Well, you're going to have a pile of it just all over the place, and mouse poop everywhere, and you're going to have bugs in there too. So unless you're storing this in a pretty weather tight place where mice and insects can't get at it, I would put it in some kind of hard container with a lid. Other uses for sweet feed, well, it works good as a chum to add to your pre-baiting mix. I've used it quite a bit for just mix it in with some boiled birdseed or boiled feed corn and use it as a spotting mix. Throwing it out works pretty good for that. You can add it to the spotting mix right before you throw it out, so it'll still be in pellet form, or you could add it to the spotting mix and stir it up and let it sit there for like, you know, 15-20 minutes and absorb some liquid. Then it'll be kind of like a ground bait. It'll be fine particles mixed with your larger particles. You know, there's a couple different ways to do that. And you could also just spod this out by itself. Fill your little spom with the pellets and chuck them out there. I've done that too, and I think it brings in fish. So that's everything I think you need to know about sweet feed. I'm sure I probably forgot something, so if you have a question about sweet feed or how I use it, something that I forgot to mention, please write it down in the comments. Let me know. I'll do my best to answer it. But thanks for watching. I appreciate it. See you on the next one.